Hi, everyone. Welcome to the regular council meeting of December 12th, 2022. Just before we get started, I just want to remind everybody that members of the public can be present in the council committee room during the meeting. And also the meeting will be available via Zoom on the City of Trail website. So our first item on the agenda is the adoption of the minutes from the regular council meeting of November 28th, 2022. Can I have someone make that recommendation, please? Councillor Martin and Councillor Wilson, thank you. All those in favor? It's unanimous, thank you. Item number 2 is the public question period. I don't know if we have anybody online, Colin.
Just opened it, and so I'm seeing that we have says one attendee. Yes, but I have a feeling that it's our employee Andrea. I think it's why. Okay, but I'm not seeing anyone there.
Okay, thank you. So item number 3 under communications, we have item number 3.1, and I will hand this over to Ms. Lucchini.
Thank you, Your Worship. 1198743 BC Limited, the property owner at 2910 Highway Drive, doing business as Alpine Contracting, has applied to the city for a development variance permit to vary section 21(6)(b) of the zoning bylaw. The property at 2910 Highway Drive is used as their contractor's office and yard and is appropriately zoned service commercial C7. Sometime in 2022, a new accessory building was constructed on the property without the owner obtaining the necessary building permit. Where this accessory building was sited on the property does not conform with the side yard setback provisions contained within the zoning bylaw. Accordingly, the applicant is now requesting that the required side yard be reduced from 4.5 meters to 1.1 meters, a variance of 3.4 meters. Noting that the structure was sited accordingly to allow for equipment to maneuver and to get in and out of bins located in the accessory structure. Council should consider if the reduction in the side yard setback will cause undue hardship to the neighborhood or negatively impact the neighboring properties. As per the legislative requirements, property owners and occupants within 15 meters were notified that council will consider the application at this evening's meeting. Responses were received from Fortis BC, the owner of the former Inland Natural Gas building across the street. And we also received a submission from the owner of the property directly adjacent. And I'm now going to read you those responses. With respect to the communication from Fortis, it came from Jonathan Peters in the planning and design technologist in Kelowna. Good morning. With respect to the above noted file, Fortis BC Energy Inc. bracket gas has reviewed the subject proposal and has no objections or concerns. The adjacent property owner is owned by CBT Business Development Corp. And I believe, I'm not sure what the name of the business is in there now, but it's a CBT funded sort of initiative. It used to be, I think, Firebird in there. In any event, he did reach out and he indicated at the time that he received the letters, he didn't have the drawings that noted the structure and that he could not determine the exact location and depth of the proposed building. In reviewing the site, the only issue we see potentially arising is that snow would gather between the buildings if the accessory building is built beside one of the buildings on 2950 Highway Drive, which it is, as you will see from the photographs contained. The snow gathering could pose a water, he says ingress, but I think it's egress risk, as we could not clear it from the building if the buildings are too close together. I did follow up with him because that email that he sent was done in the summertime, at the time the Board of Variance considered the application, at which time the Board of Variance denied the application for the variance. I did follow up with this particular property owner today and asked him, indicated to him that I would share his submission to you regarding concerns of snow. I said, as the structure is already built, which he may not have realized from the letter that I got, even though it was stated there. I asked him to please let me know if he has any issues regarding snow accumulation. I go, it is now winter and we have had large accumulations of snow of late. I said the drawings for the structure can be reviewed with the agenda for the meeting this evening, and I've provided a link. The response I received from him is, from the photos, it doesn't look concerning to me. It is more of a long-term concern, I guess, if snow between the structure and our building at 2950 and over time starts to deteriorate our building. However, that would be speculative. In any event, as noted before in the reporting before you, the applicant failed to get a building permit and now has applied for and requested the variance in order to complete that process. It is therefore being recommended that, subject to the public input received, that council authorize the issuance of a development variance permit to 1198743 BC Ltd to vary section 21(6)B of the zoning bylaw, reducing the required interior side yard from 4.5 meters to 1.1 meters.
So any questions or comments for Ms. Lucchini?
Is there any reason that you're aware of that the owner didn't come first for the proper variance? Sort of, was there anything that you heard? Nothing.
No,
Just sort
I
of built
understand
it.
built, and that the regional district building department noticed the structure and approached the property owner and said that a building permit is required.
And that he was and it's assumed that he was unaware of it, that requirement?
Yeah. The property is located in a very commercial area.
No,
It's right beside Champion Chevrolet.
Councillor Hanson?
Well, in looking at the pictures, you know, I can understand, you know, the neighboring property owner's concern, as it appears to be a concrete block building for water ingress from snow buildup. However, due to the slopes of that building that they've built, it would look and appear that the snow would not be, with a very small gap between the roof line and the actual building, that there would not be a substantial accumulation of snow speculatively because of the space between it to actually get in there. Yeah.
Keeping in mind that if the variance is not approved, we don't have a course of action to have the structure recited or removed. We would put a notice on title that there has been a building bylaw contravention.
And then it's up to them to correct it at their own time, right?
If they so choose.
If they so choose to, yeah.
Yeah, and then it would become a matter between private property owners.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Cheney, even if we pass the variance, regional district still has final say on the structure, do they not?
Yes.
They could say tear it down or keep it. So it sort of falls into their hands after we.
Well, no,
decide
I think that the only concern the regional district building department has is the side yard setback.
Okay, thank you.
They've submitted plans that have been approved by the building inspector.
Okay, thank you.
And it,
Councillor Hanson?
sorry, and so if it wasn't approved, where the roof, because it appears that the actual 6x6 structure of it, and then it's the roof line overhangs an extra maybe 3 feet towards it. So is the actual form of the property inside of that setback, or is it just the roof overhang?
No, the form of the accessory building is within the setback.
Okay. Shall I call for the question? All those in favor of the question being called?
You would want to have a mover and a second.
Oh, right.
If council so chooses.
So do I have someone to move the recommendation? Councillor Butler, thank you. And is there a seconder? Councillor Benson. So all those in favor? Oppose? None. That's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Down there.
Okay, our next item on the agenda is the 2021 Statement of Financial Information. And I'll hand this over to our CAO, McClure.
Thanks, Richard. For council, this may be a new document for some of you, and it's a document that is prescribed by the province. Actually, most provinces in Canada now have this, and the legislation is built on trying to provide transparency, and one of the reasons why is it's not easy as a citizen to sort of kind of find out what's going on with certain items that happen inside the city hall. So this is one way that each year we need to report out, and we need to report out on all salaries for employees and who those employees are that are over $75,000, and also the expenses that are related to them. In addition, council and their expenses need to be published that they've had during the year, and as well of that, any vendor that we've had that's over $25,000, and also what community groups may have gotten grants that are over $25,000. And part of that, I think, is to speak to, again, when transparency. Number one, if you saw that you had a counselor that had a pay that was much different than the rest, that would be something that again allows for that. It would have to be an explanation as to why that was happening, or if they had a much larger expense budget than say the rest. Then those are the sorts of things that knowing that as mayor and council do go about their business and they incur expenses that are related to them, whether they go to conferences, that sort of thing. If you saw one that was really higher than the others, and or council wanted to know, I mean, there's that understanding that it's going to be published and that people are going to see what's happening. In the same way, if you saw Domino's Pizza was on there for $50,000, that would be something that again would have the public wouldn't maybe know that on a not seeing the Domino sign kind of driving up into the building all the time, but that would be a way of flagging that. It becomes then reported, and if there was questions, of course, then someone could be able to have the ability to ask council, come to a council meeting or whatnot, and ask about what was happening with that report. So again, it's on that transparency side of things that the government does this. Again, all of these public entities, whether or not it's Selkirk College, the city of Castlegar, Trail, Nelson, all of them do, all across the whole province. Same with school districts as well, also do these reports. And I think that it provides value, though it can be uncomfortable for our employees that might be in a place where their salaries are being reported out, because that's not always the most comfortable thing with your neighbor. And again, it is one of those required by mandated by the provincial legislation that we do this. Now, in most cases, this would have been done before June 30th of the year. But as we are just completing the audit of the financial statements, we've had some challenges with getting that done, and that's now underway and or completed, I should say. And so this report as well, we bring it to council because it is something that needs to be out and accepted by council and approved before we can submit it to the province. So it will get submitted to the province, and then it becomes in a place that can be searched. And again, we will also add it to our website because we want to make sure that it is accessible to the public, because they do ask about these things. I don't know if council has any questions. I was going to just note another thing that I thought was really key is kind of the round dollars that come when you see the names on a lot of the companies that they are trail companies, right? So again, paying taxpayers in the community, and then those companies getting the contracts, whether or not they're doing repairs and maintenance or providing other services to the city. And then again, is that tax dollar coming back into the community. Hopefully they're homeowners as well, and they're hiring employees that are getting good paid wages inside our community. So as much as you're paying those taxes, they are coming back as round dollars, and hopefully then being sent out to the community, whether it's Ferrera Foods or the Safeway, or going to the Capitol Theater and those sorts of things. So it is also an indication of seeing the effect of how many of the expenses that we incurred are actually being paid to by local companies. Yeah. One other thing I will say is that one thing that can be maybe a bit confusing is this report is on basically a cash basis. And that's why they asked for a reconciliation, which is basically the third page from the end, if you were looking at it. And it kind of talks about the report. So whether or not what's your salaries, what we paid for employee expenses, what was EI, and then what was your payment for goods and services. And if you look at that, and then you'll see, well, what was your total costs for expenses for your financial statements? And you'll notice that they're different. And so there's a few kind of bullet points there, but it is important because on a cash basis, we may have built something, and in the financial statements, we would have accrued the fact that we finished building the building, but maybe the final invoice doesn't get paid until January 15th. That way we made the expense go into the correct period. Whereas the Sophie report would say, well, it didn't get paid till the following year. So that payment actually, even though it got completed in say December of a year, it doesn't get paid till January. It would then show up as an expense in the following year's Sophie report. There's also things that may not show up on the expenses because it is a capital asset. So if you buy a truck for $100,000 is supposed to last 10 years, amortization policy would say, hey, don't expense that 100,000, you would expense that 10,000 per year. So 10,000 a year would go in. Whereas on the Sophie report, if you're paying for that vehicle, that's an automatic cash expense. So then that would mean that your supplies services purchase was $100,000. It would be there on a cash basis. Also, some of these relate to things like GST. We would pay your invoice for the vehicle. It would include GST, whereas when we expense that vehicle or capitalize that vehicle, that GST would be taken out and we would set that up as a receipt. So again, just one of those things that may say, hey, how come we've got a difference between the two? And one basically is on accrual accounting and one is on cash. I don't know if anyone has any questions.
Any questions? Okay, so the recommendation is before you. Can I have someone make the move the recommendation? Councillor Benson, and seconder, Councillor Wilson. All those in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, on to the council committee reports, and tonight we start off with Councillor Benson.
Thank you, Your Worship. On December 1st, I attended the redone lunch and webinar, the Rural Empowered Drug User Network. It was at the Trail United Church. And the committee put on a webinar with community action teams throughout the province, including Cowichan Valley, Sea Shelton, Nelson, on barriers and strategies for overdose prevention sites for inhalation. My main takeaway was that inhalation has surpassed injection in terms of method of preference and overdose, but there's a lot of barriers and having safe sites for these due to the ventilation requirements. On December 5th, I attended the CAT committee meeting along with Your Worship and Councillors Butler, Hanson, and Wilson. And I know a few of you will probably report on some of the items here. But the CDS will be hosting the coldest night of the year again on February 25th, 2023. And they're actually looking at coinciding this event with some homeless de-escalation training to provide some nonverbal tools to eliminate conflict with our vulnerable population. On December 6th, I went to the Trail Ambassador Program meet and greet. We have 6 candidates in the Trail Ambassador Program this year. And we have 6 local sponsors. We actually had more sponsors come forward than candidates, which is always awesome. And you may have seen the candidates on Saturday night at the Santa Parade, and the City of Trail float was utilized for the parade with Miss Trail Randy Wyatt riding on it and some special guests. And just want to recognize the Public Works crew under the direction of Brian Maloney for getting the float all dressed up for Santa, and Dave Moorhead and his team for ensuring that the float had a safe path to travel because we had a lot of snow. On December 10th, the last minute market at Winneba Plaza, another really successful event. A lot of people, the parking lot was full again. I then took my niece to the public library for they hosted a craft making to make Santa bags for the candy at the parade, and then attended the parade with everyone. And that was awesome. Thank you to Andrea Jolly and her team, and to Ms. Lutini for ensuring that we were all set up and had everything we needed. And then finally, today, Councillor Cashel and I had our kickoff meeting for Silver City Days. Save the date has been posted on all of our social media accounts. So please mark May 10th to 14th, 2023 in your calendars. And we're really looking forward to an awesome week. And that is my report.
Thank you, Councillor Benson. Any questions or comments? Okay. So on to Councillor Butler.
Thank you, Mayor Jones. On the 5th of December, along with Councillor Hanson, I attended the Downtown Improvement Committee meeting. Councillor Hanson will report out on our meeting. Followed by the CAT meeting along with the Mayor and several councillors. On the 8th with Councillor Cashel, we met with Sergeant Wasinowicz. We have committed as part of our portfolio assignment to meet monthly with Staff Sergeant. On December 2nd was Light Up the Hospital Pledge Day, and I wanted to extend a heartfelt thank you to everyone in Trail. Their support for our regional hospital is impactful, and nearly $175,000 was raised that day. Nice. Lastly, on the 10th, along with everyone, I attended the Santa Claus Parade. It was a wonderful evening with snow falling and a great turnout. Again, a thank you to Andrea Jolly and Sandy Lucchini and all staff of the City of Trail for bringing Santa back to Trail. That's the end of my report.
Thank you, Councillor Butler. It was a great night, the Santa Claus Parade, and everyone enjoyed it. Yeah. Okay, any questions or comments for Councillor Butler? On to Councillor Cashel.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just touched that on December the 4th, Councillor Butler and myself attended the RCP Christmas party at the curling rink. It was a really good time, and the food was catered by Kootenai Kebab, and there was no disappointment in that either. To mention or to add to what Councillor Butler said, we did meet with Sergeant Wasinowicz at Bridgeview Cafe on December the 8th. Corporal Steve McKetty and Corporal James Splinter and Constable Josh Anderson were also in attendance, and which was great. You know, the more the merrier, but they get called away, unfortunately. So we had a good conversation, expressing the importance of open and honest and fluid communication between City Council and Sergeant Wasinowicz. Sergeant Wasinowicz is available to attend council meetings. This is a practice that is adopted by many municipalities throughout Canada, where the detachment commander will come in possibly at a quarterly interval to not just give stats, but also to talk about projects that's going on and to maybe bring us up to speed on where they're at with their planning. And I would encourage that as a practice that I'd like to see adopted here, to have him come in. He's more than game to do it. That way you're getting the information sort of direct. It's not being filtered through my committee report. I would like to maybe just present that as something that we can discuss down the road to have that implemented. There's 6 civilian staff that work at the Trail Detachment as well. They're a part of that detachment family that sometimes get overlooked. When staffing issues are a concern, not only are the uniform members bearing the brunt, but the support staff also feel it as well. So we have 2 public servants. One, Lisa, I met, and she was on my team, curling team. Unfortunately, I was on her team. And there's 4 city staff as well that are there that contribute greatly to that, that enterprise that need to be recognized. One thing that Sergeant Wasinowicz did say that I'd like to publicly announce is that he has tremendous appreciation for his supervisors. And he does have 3 corporal supervisors that he relies heavily on that have been very flexible and very just awesome in making this detachment work. And that's, as I mentioned before, that was Corporal McKetty, Corporal Splinter, and Corporal Sheldon Irichuk. So I'd just like to mention them publicly as well. We really appreciate, and all the other members who show up for their work every shift. We appreciate it, and we really value you as a part of our community. That's basically it in the for the police committee update, Your Worship. And I do have something from Communities in Bloom, if I may be permitted. So moving on, shifting gears to Communities in Bloom. I did attend their first meeting in over 2 years. on November the 30th. It was chaired by Dan Rodley. Notes were taken by Secretary Lana Rodley. Communities in Blooms have been in trail for over 21 years. And they're, again, operating on a budget similar to what they've been presenting. They are within budget. Dan went into some detail on the budgets. I won't get into that because he can bring that forward later with his own report. They are very excited and very happy about their contractor, Rachel Brown. And they were talking, the committee, there was 8 people there talking about Rachel Brown. And I'm really looking forward to meeting this. And because she comes in and she presents her report, and the enthusiasm and the passion and the knowledge and the commitment that she's bringing to Community in Blooms, it's just like, it's outstanding, right? So it was really kind of encouraging to hear that. That being said, I do have a bunch of notes here that were prepared. There's a cost of flowers. The cost of everything has gone up 35%. Let me just say money. They're looking at saving money, and what they might be doing is using larger annuals in the pots, and they can save over $1,500 a year. The White Garden, which is a Jubilee Park, is going to require significant work this year. There's over 12,529 new plantings that they put in last year, which I thought was a staggering number. And that doesn't even include maintenance on the regular plants. Like, it's just a huge undertaking. And that includes 170 hanging baskets. So they had 22 new volunteers that donated approximately 3,000 hours. But the total of volunteers were 45, and the estimate is over 4,500 volunteer hours. And they just translated that at minimum wage to $70,425 in just donated labor and time, which again is a pretty significant number. What I really liked about Rachel Brown and her openness to work with other partners. And she mentioned that she's working with Take a Hike. It's a program for youths, young adults at Kootenai Columbia Learning Center. And she's had them come in, and they groups of 10 to 12 working in the gardens and getting that kind of hands-on experience. Another thing that really touched me was, because I have experience in this area, is a CDS works with our vulnerable. They have a program called Peers. These are people that are homeless. These are people that face multiple barriers to employment. They will partner up with Rachel and her crew to gain work experience. And if they do well, she can hire them, or she can write them a reference for down the road. So just her willingness to go outside what her normal job description is and working with these other partners and other agencies is commendable. We also have a tag team. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the tag team, but there's a tag team in trail, and it's run by Glenn Wallace, Keith Smythe, Richard Dudney, and Tony DeLuca. Trail Against Graffiti. I know, right? And they put in over 400 hours themselves. And one thing I do want to point out that came up in this meeting is the relationship that Communities in Bloom has with Public Works. Chris McIsaac is a strong supporter of the program, but Rachel works very well with David Moorhead, and Glenn Wallace made the same comment. You know, what they need, what they get, they can go to David Moorhead and his crew, and they're accommodated. So there's a really strong working relationship there that needs to be acknowledged. And I know it's much appreciated by Communities in Bloom. Rachel in her report also mentioned there's a hazard of bears downtown at night, and she was thinking maybe the city could follow a bear aware program, and also by keeping the garbage cans empty before the weekend. I think that about summarizes the highlight. There was lots, like I say, they hadn't met in over 2 years, and there was a deep dive into a lot of other things. But Mr. Rodley says that he will be bringing a presentation to council in the near future, which I'm looking forward to. And that pretty much summarizes my report. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Cashel. That was a great report. Any questions or comments?
I love the tag team. I love that.
That's nice.
I wish I had come up with it, but I didn't.
Okay, thank you. On to Councillor Hanson.
Thank you, Mayor Jones. So on December 1st, I chaired the Trail Health and Environment Committee meeting in your absence. And it was the first in-person meeting in 2.5 years that the Trail Health and Environment Committee has had. It was offered as a hybrid meeting, but it was this whole table was full. There was not a seat to be had. So it was really nice to see people just being back together in a room. And so the main and exciting thing for the Trail Health and Environment Committee is that the blood lead levels for 2022 were presented, and it has been a consistent decrease over the last 4 years. And we are at our notably lowest at 2.3 micrograms per deciliter. So that is the lowest that we've seen in this area. So it was really nice to hear that all the work that the program's been doing has been outstanding and showing really great engagement with our partners, and it's working. December 5th, Councillor Butler and I attended the Downtown Trail Improvement Committee, which was our first meeting since officially being appointed to the committee. Councillor Butler was previously appointed by the city, and they were looking at some opportunities on how to work with businesses on potential educational sessions on building security through design. So how to, improve the safety and security of their buildings through different design aspects that they can encompass around their building to protect it. Also, the CAT meeting as well, getting a deeper understanding of what they do. And it was really neat to hear that they, have identified that there's been some overlap in some outreach services and that they are working on streamlining some things. And then December 10th, oh my gosh, the council or the Santa Parade, as I said previously before council, that, the comments that I received the following day was just so wonderful and engaging. So many happy people in our community, just really happy to have our events back on. And just, it was really nice. Everybody said how great it was to see all of our smiling faces, the people that came and braved the weather. And again, our sincere thanks to Andrea and Ms. Lucchini and all of Public Works to make sure that everything was back in action and making sure we were prepared. That's it.
Thank you, Councillor Hanson. Any questions or comments? No? Thank you. Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor Jones. So on Thursday, December 1st, I attended with Regional District a board orientation session in Rossland for 3 hours. Then on Friday, December the 2nd, with the Regional District, a 6-hour work plan session by each department manager. So every department manager from the Regional District was there and basically said what they did and their plan for the next few years. So it was really, really interesting. And I was just going to mention, it's already been talked about, the Silly Santa Parade. It was just a great time. Seriously. Thank you very much. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Martin. Any questions or comments? No?
Where did you get that sweater, Councillor? I have to ask. I know it's kind of relates to the Christmas theme thing, but
in the mall in Kelowna.
Really, eh? It's awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's got a tie.
I know the built-in tie is what's selling me.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Martin. On to Councillor Wilson.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to thank all the folks that came out for the Santa Day Parade, because it was so great to see all the smiles and all the kids out there. And I know it's fun for us to be out there as well. So thank you to all those that came out. And that's all I had for reporting.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Wilson, any questions or comments from our Councillor Wilson?
Yes, I have one for Councillor Wilson. How did you end up driving the truck?
Between me and Sandy.
All right.
You happen to be at the right
It's okay. Thank you, everyone. I'll just go on to my report. You know what? It seems like once again we were all in the same place at the same time. But I would like to start with thanking Councillor Hanson for chairing the meeting on December 1st, as I had to go out of town, and that was the Trail Health and Environment Committee meeting. I did have the opportunity to meet with the committee on November 30th. We had a nice little meeting, introduction, just getting to know everyone. This is my a committee of mine that I chair. So it was great to meet everyone. And as Councillor Hanson said, such good news about the blood levels. We're really proud of that and proud of the work that this committee's done. there is a collaboration of on this committee between the city and tech and the Ministry of Environment and people who live in our community. So it's really important to hear such good progress being made. I also attended the Trail Community Action Team meeting along with other councillors. And, you know, I haven't attended one of those meetings in a long time, but they're still doing such good work for the community, and they just have so much good information for us. And I really appreciate their knowledge on substance abuse and bringing forward the need for more support for mental illness in our community. I'm really looking forward. Now they want to come to council and do a presentation. I know it's going to take a while. They've told me it'll be about an hour, but I still think it's an important presentation that we have. So I'm hoping that we can make room for it on one of our council meetings in the near future. I wanted to mention that I attended the Rotary Christmas Carol concert, and it was so much fun to be live listening to all the different choirs and the great little songs, that Christmas songs that they had. It was really nice being a part of that. And it was a fundraiser for the Salvation Army. And some of the money they made that night went to the Salvation Army. And just so everybody knows, and I don't know if anybody has time, but they're still looking for people to do the kettle. So you can call them. The phone number is 250-364-0445 if you have the ability or the time to help out. Myself, along with our CAO McClure, had the opportunity to meet with 2 new team members from Kootenay Savings. Mark McLaughlin, the new CAO of Kootenay Savings, and Mike Bushon. Oh, thank you, Paul. New Vice President of Operations, Marketing, and Member Experience. And when I was writing my report tonight, I remember our conversation with Mark, and he was going back to London to see his wife and have a visit, and he was looking forward to getting out of the snow. And then I saw in the news this morning that they got that big storm in London and planes weren't getting in, and it was just a mess. So I was thinking of him. And it was great to meet them, and just thank you to Councillor Butler for bringing them to the City Hall for us to meet. I did have an opportunity to meet on December 9th with our MLA, Katrine Conroy, who is now the new Minister of Finance, and I congratulated her on her new position and her new role. But I did remind her that we are still in crisis mode for need of housing. I told her that we are desperate for mental health support, and that I will continue to reach out to her for support and help in any way that she can help us out. So we agreed to meet, you know, on a regular basis. I too wanted to talk about the Christmas parade, but everybody else has talked about it. And what we need to talk about, though, is I was there early because I was doing a taping of my holiday greeting on Shaw. And you know, Public Works were working so hard to get that alleyway cleared of snow, so it was a safe place for people to, you know, watch the parade and that, and for all the little kids to be. It was great. Like, they were up and down Club McGavion, and I was so proud of them. They were just working so hard. So yeah, I wanted to say thank you to Public Works and Andrea and Sandy, and it was just a great event, and everybody was so excited. There were so many kids and so many grandparents with their kids. It was really, really nice to see. I also attended the Christmas market, and just a quick reminder on how important it is to shop local. And I think that market proved it, because there were so many vendors and so many people there, that it's really important that we shop local. It helps our economy, it helps our jobs. You know, it's just a really great event, and a lot of hard work goes into that. And I want to thank Trail Incredible Market Committee who puts that on, and it's just a great boost for our economy. And last but not least, I just want to wish everybody happy holidays, and to be safe and stay healthy out there, and all the best.
You too.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments or? Okay, so we'll move on to item number 5, the consent agenda. So before you, you will see the recommendation that the items on the consent agenda be received for information. Can I have someone to make that motion?
So moved.
Councillor Butler and
Second.
Councillor Wilson seconded. All those in favor? Thank you. Any new business this evening? Seeing none? Number 7, item number 7, department reports. The recommendation before you is that this report be received for information. Can I have someone make that recommendation? Thank you, Councillor Benson and Councillor Hanson. So, last item on the agenda is adjournment. Can I have someone make that motion? Thank you, Councillor Martin and Councillor Wilson. No debate. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for a great meeting.